Two past 9. I don't want to waste people's time. I want to just say and go to bed as I'm working tomorrow. Regainditi maneraga naga vanhu vaMwari. Anzi dhiri andichimbomirira vanhu kuti vauye nai. Tomboshaura dhiriwo ratisimbise mutambo nai. Regaitimboritsvaira dhiriwo nai. Tichaona Stone Apple Evans zviri sei. Anzi dhiriwo rairo vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rarembanje. Gara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rairo vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rarembanje. Gara mudhiriwo vakomana vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rarembanje. Gara mudhiriwo musatambe navo vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rarembanje. Gara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo ravakomana. Koma Jafet Mushava. Dhiriwo rarembanje vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rairo vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rarembanje. Gara mudhiriwo vako mana vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rarembanje. Vanogara mudhiriwo musatambe navo vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rarembanje. Gara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo ravakomana. Manera akanaka vana veZimbabwe nai. Hanzi nemumwe munhu unofanira kupfeka camouflage. Regai tipfeke camouflage. Regai tipfeke zvechuto. Kuti dhiriwo raribva ranyatsonzwika tobva taisa pamusoro zvechuto nai. Regai tibva tapfeka zvechuto. Kuti zvigotyisa nai. Toda kutaura chuto pana. We want to discuss military politics. We're going to discuss military politics here. So, in an effort to discuss military politics, we need to put on this fatigue. This is attire associated with any military thing, but this is Mnana UK. This is not military attire. It's just mbashka dzatinoenda kunoraurisa hove. Atete QD zviri sei muri right here. First of all, tane 17 people, 18 watching. Please, let's tag more people. Pane vanhu vanozouya later on. Vakuti dzokererai paya atina kunzwa fidza zviri sei kumabiyangu yawe wefara here. Pane vanhu vanozouya kuti adzokererai paya mukoma Yuda atina kunzwa and so forth. Guys, munenge makundipa tough task. Because kwandinge ndabva ndichipresenta information inge yakanyanya kuwandisa. Sandoita kuti gaga. Tomorrow I'm working, so I don't need to stay long. I need to go to bed and rest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read Honorable Tendai BT statement. Those with it, keep it with you. Because most of the things that I'm going to state here are things that are written on that statement. So that statement, we want to find out that is Tendai BT Team Sengezo Shabang, or is just a victim of envy and the propaganda. So we are going to look into a lot of things. Guide Zid, how are you? Guvera, Yakobe, how are you? Mainun, welcome. So what I'm saying here, I'm going to make an analysis of Tendai BT statement. We want to understand if Tendai BT is Team Sengezo or is just a victim of envy and propaganda. So we are going to look into his statement. We are going to analyze his statement. So it is wise for you guys to share this presentation. Mkoma 𝐁𝐢𝐿. Let's share this presentation. Share it on your timeline so that people can view it, or they can come and have copy the link and paste it on your timeline so that people can come and listen to what I'm going to do. Mkoma to say, Mkoma Edmond Solas, how are you? Hans Ajamia Apatuma Banji Inebwino too. Christopher Chris say Florence Nyamwenza Twari Ziruk. So what I'm going to simply do is to quickly read Tendai BT's statement. To quickly read Tendai BT's statement. I've prepared some notes that will assist me in the analysis of this this statement. Unfortunately, I can't find what I find it. So I've prepared some questions. I've prepared some notes that are going to help me flow and quickly analyze this statement. So what I urge you, if you did not read this statement, I urge you to skim and read the statement to get a general idea of what it is all about. Because we are going to do an analysis of this statement. So we are going to discuss the statement with you guys. That enables you to have a clarity or a little bit of understanding of this statement. So I am going to discuss the statement with you. After discussing the statement with you, I urge you to read the statement in full. And if you don't understand anything, this is the time you should ask. I want you to note important details in that statement. Edi Zara Chikosha Mkoma Yuda Murise Koseiva Mate Madanda Vasiri Kutaurwa Nezwa Umazoano. I don't know Edi. He belongs to ZANU PF, so he was there when he came for my ambassadors. But I urge you guys to focus on the statement of Honorable Tendai BT. Anything outside this statement, unfortunately, I'm not going to answer it. I will just let your question pass. Like, let's not divert the attention of listeners from this statement. I want you to read the statement first to get a general idea of what it is all about. After that, you listen to this discussion of this statement. I want you to have a clarity. I want you to have an understanding of what this statement entails or means. If you don't understand anything, you reread that statement again. You can take notes down and you come revisit this presentation later to see how it works. Maimfaro, how are you, sweetheart? Justina Marembo, Zurufambaere. So, after that, I want you to check. Whilst I'm making this presentation, I'll highlight to you main points of the statement that I think you need to know. After that, I want you to put aside that statement. I want you to think what you've listened on this presentation. I want you to think of what you've read on this presentation. And I want you to think of any criticism that you have made or that you can make about this statement. At the end of it all, we want to see if there is evidence to link Tendai BT and the Shavang, or to say Tendai BT is Team Shavang, or to say Welshman Nwe is Team Shavang. I understand that people are point on guys Triple C should permanently focus on the rigged elections, not the recalls. Again, I am going to, it is in this analysis, I've put that in the analysis to say right now, we are destructive. We are seen as people who are destroying the democracy of Zimbabwe by engaging in these unnecessary quarrels after we urge the people of Zimbabwe to go and vote for Triple C. Is this what the people of Zimbabwe deserve? I am going to look into that as well, so that we have a rough idea of what is happening in our country. So what I want you to ask yourselves is, why is this statement of interest to Zimbabweans? Why is it of interest to Zimbabweans? What is it that the statement aim to achieve, or what is the author's purpose of writing this statement. I want you to identify any knowledge or gaps in this statement that you think because of this, the gap that I'm talking about is, for instance, that CCC lake structures. Is that a gap that 𝐀𝐧𝐚𝐥𝐲𝐬𝐢 has utilized to disrupt the functions of the country, disrupt the functions of the government, disrupt the functions of CCC? Because what is affecting CCC is also affecting the constituencies. This is why I'm saying he is disrupting the smooth running of the constituencies, and the members of parliament's roles have been dismally disabled by this 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢. So can someone associate himself with the 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢, someone of the caliber of Tendai Biti? Can he become a team 𝐁𝐈𝐭𝐢, or is just a victim of propaganda? Because looking at how much disruption this recourse has caused to the constituencies that have been left out without members of parliament, it could be the author's statement. So I want you to identify this knowledge. I want you to have an idea of what I'm going to talk about. So what are the main claims of this statement? If you read Tendai Biti's statement, what are the main claims of that statement? So for us to be on the same boat, I want you guys to tag a lot of people, share this presentation so that people have an idea. At the end of this presentation, we must come to a conclusion whether there is evidence to say BT is Team 𝐀𝐧𝐚𝐥𝐲𝐬 or BT is Team 𝐁𝐈𝐭𝐢. We want to come to that conclusion at the end of this presentation. I promise you, it's not going to be 3 hours, because at the end, people will just drop and go, run away because of the time. But at the end, make your judgment based on what this sound analysis has given you. Let's explore the relationship, the causes and connections. If there are any relationships, if there are any causes, if there are any connections between Tendai Biti and the 𝐁𝐈𝐭𝐢. As you are serious, denial shame. So we want to see if there is, let's explore it. Whilst I'll be making a presentation, I want you guys to explore. Take notes, write something down. We want to see if there is any relationship or are there any causes or connections between Tendai Biti and the 𝐁𝐈𝐭𝐢. So let's use this existing knowledge that we have, and the knowledge that is within the social media, and the knowledge that is within the internet to see if there is any connection. And so eventually, I need you guys to grasp the meaning of this statement. What does it mean? And then from there, we move on. Because tinenge taziva chokwadi. Saka chokwadi chatoda kuziva panapa ndo chatava kutanga nacho. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, why is this article of interest to Zimbabweans? Tendai Biti has written a statement. He has written a statement, probably from people who pressurized him to say, can you respond? Can you respond? Can you respond? So as a result, he issued a statement, or he released a statement, which we are analyzing today. So I'm going to read this statement, and then we come up with an idea of what BT is trying to say. And information kuma WhatsApp, vindictive, planned, outdone Nelson Chamisa before elections. Yes. So let's have this. I'm going to read this statement in my chat. Tendai Biti's statement said, Zimbabwe at a crossroads. I don't know, to those who, I am 𝐭𝐤𝐢 the long time, my brother. I'm watching from Cape Town. Lamek Masuku, thank you. So I don't understand. It's a very short topic. I've tried to think what this topic means. That is Zimbabwe at a crossroads. I don't understand the meaning of the topic. Maybe someone might find out what he meant by saying Zimbabwe is at a crossroad. But anyway, that was, yeah, his statement is vague, some people are saying. So he said, Zimbabwe at a crossroads. The title is vague. As my cha said, the title is vague. But let's read the whole statement. I want you to understand it. Zimbabwe is at crossroads. The weight of a stolen election, unprecedented corruption, and the looting of the public funds or public assets sits heavy on the shoulders of Zimbabweans who want and deserve better. And can you clarify the issue of Tendai Biti's wife? Some are saying he married an ex-finance secretary or a CIO. We will come to that. We want to understand. We will come to that. Because right now I'm not in Zimbabwe. I am not sure who is the current wife of Tendai Biti. But I will raise some concerns if it is true that he married ex-finance secretary who is a member of the CIO, and we will look into that. I am not well knowledgeable about that because I only know Amai Tawanda, who was Tendai Biti's wife, who helped us a lot when we were campaigning for Tendai to become member of parliament for Harare East. So I'm not sure about this one. I will come to you probably with some information, whoever is knowledgeable on that. But what I'm talking about is this statement. Let's analyze the statement, which he wrote. A statement yake only points out that he is not working with the ZANU-PF. So let's read it. Zimbabwe is at crossroads. The weight of a stolen election, unprecedented corruption and looting of public assets sits heavy on the shoulders of Zimbabweans who want and deserve better. The environment in the world right now is toxic. The wars in Ukraine and the Middle East have pushed Zimbabwe to the bottom of the world's attention calendar. This has allowed the vampire state here to carry out brazen election fraud. Not satisfied, the regime is now engaged in a malicious push to weaken our struggle. The progressive movement, though the illegal recall of elected public representatives. I'm not sure about this statement. He is saying, not satisfied, the regime is now engaged in a malicious push to weaken our struggle, to weaken the progressive movement through the illegal recall of elected public representatives. It is therefore shocking to hear and read a daily stream of abusive, malicious, and defamatory claims that Professor 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢 and I are colluding with the regime and its proxies to append a struggle that have occupied and consumed all of our adult lives. I do not speak for Professor 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢, an honest and decent comrade who buried his dear mother on Friday, but as someone who has been in this struggle for as long as I have, one who has endured ZANU-PF's jails and physical attacks by the same, it is heartbreaking, if not tragic, that many comrades that have been with us on this journey are now given false labels and badges ZANU-PF wish they had coined first. I don't believe in recalls. I've never been part of recalls. I will never be part of recalls. In my life, I have been recalled twice in 2015 and in 2021 through the pernicious use of Section 129, subsection 1K of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. I know the pain of a recall. My family knows the pain of a recall. The people of Harare East know the pain of a recall. With other members of parliament such as Themba Mliswa, we unsuccessfully fought for the removal and the repeal of section 129 subsection 1 KE. Like most Zimbabweans, I only get to read about the patently illegal recalls by Mr. Shabang in the newspaper. Given that I and my family, given that my family and I have given to this struggle, it saddens me that I have to state publicly that I will never be part of a project to weaken the democratic struggle in Zimbabwe. I have been imprisoned and tortured for the change we all seek, and I have stood firm. I have never worked for ZANU-PF, and I will die before I lend my hand to the illegitimate ZANU-PF. I had hoped to be a member of parliament. I have my reservations about the process that prevented this happening. I have my challenges and reservations about our identity, structural, strategic, and procedural polity. I am a Democrat who believes in constitutionalism, the rule of law, transparency, openness, and collective leadership. I can never compromise on these core values. However, no dispute for differences is ever sufficient to place one at the service of ZANU-PF. I have a daily job at my law practice, and that's where I have retreated to fight for Zimbabweans in that sphere of any influence. Additionally, I have progressive international engagements that require my full attention. Fellow Zimbabweans, all this charter and actions by illegitimate regime and its proxies are an engineered distraction from the main prize to free ourselves from this rapacious dictatorship. It has been a long, torturous road, and the victory is closer than the distance back to where we started. So this signed by Tendai Biti, 11 November 2023. Right. So there is no signature of Tendai Biti on this document. This is one thing I need people to be aware. People who are listening to this. If you read this statement, it does not have a at the end of it. It's not signed by Tendai Biti, but it's written that it was written by Tendai Biti. So for this statement to be an official statement, which was right. So what I expect for this document to be an official statement, I expected it to be signed by Tendai Biti himself, because I can write my own statement and then post it on social media and say it was written by Tendai Biti. If you read on this on the English on this statement, I'm analyzing how I know Tendai Biti. This is not the English of a lawyer, or this is not written by someone knowledgeable of law. If you read this statement and you know Tendai Biti, Tendai Biti, if you read this statement, you can clearly tell that someone maybe wrote this on behalf of Tendai Biti, not Biti himself, because this is not the type of English that I expect from Tendai Biti. A very good example is when he said, given what I and my family, a solicitor will never write this. Please do me a big favor as well. 𝐁𝐬𝐬, I sent you inbox history, Yabiti and the Shawang. Now, unfortunately, if you send it on this phone, I cannot open it because this is the same phone that I'm using for presentation. I will see it later after presentation. But I am querying the type of English written in this statement, that Tendai Biti cannot write this gibberish. This is gibberish. This is nonsense. There is no English like this written by a lawyer, a solicitor. Because if you read it on this paragraph, he is saying, given what I and my family have given to this struggle, a proper English would be, given what my family and I given what my family and I, that will be a proper English from a solicitor, not this rubbish. I don't think it's Tendai Biti who wrote this. Then he went on to say, it saddens me that I have to state publicly that that type of English does not come from Tendai Biti. Yes, Mkoma Japheth. It is my family and I, not I and my family. So this is why I am doubting whether this was written by Tendai Biti himself. It could have been written by someone pretending like Tendai Biti. Then he went on to say, the author went on to say, it saddens me that I have to state publicly that I will have to part. You understand this? I what? That is not proper English for a solicitor. Tendai Biti is a renowned solicitor. I'm going to talk about it. To weaken democracy in Zimbabwe, I have been imprisoned and tortured for the change we all seek, and I have stood firm. He's talking about imprisonment, he's talking about whatever. I have never worked for ZANU-PF, and I will die before I lend my hand to. Tendai Biti has got a history. If you look, if I take you back, to 2015, he was recalled. If I take you back to 2021, he was recalled by his own political party. In 2015, he was recalled by Morgan Tsvangirai. So we cannot say he never worked to the advantage of ZANU-PF. Because once you start attacking Tsvangirai, area opposition leader in a country, then already you are working for the advantage of ZANU-PF. Because no bakazo obuda Tsvangirai akutukwa nevanhu achinzi anzi varai zip. A lot of things have happened. Varai zip, this and that. Quite a lot of things were said about Morgan Tsvangirai to the advantage of ZANU-PF. It was stated from some of the courts zaitaurwa na Tendai Biti. But unfortunately, this has worked to the advantage of ZANU-PF. All the recalls, Tendai Biti was recalled twice, and the third time he had to lose the seat. So I am going to analyze the statement. I've read the statement. You have understood the statement. Those with the statement, I want you to open it whilst I'm going through that statement. I've stated where I query on this statement that I doubt if this is exactly or if this was written by Tendai Biti himself. This is not the type of English I expect from a lawyer. When a lawyer, you can tell. Go and read what Mutebuka Brighton write. You can tell that this is a lawyer. Go and read what Magaisa used to write. You can tell the type of English Magaisa, the type of English Bright Mutebuka, that this person who is writing this statement is a lawyer or a solicitor. So this statement, I doubt whether it came from Tendai Biti himself. This is my point, my first point of analysis, and I dispute this point. I dispute that this statement came from Tendai Biti. So let's go into the details of what is in the statement. The intention of this presentation is to analyze this statement and find out if Tendai Biti is true 𝐀𝐧𝐚𝐥𝐲𝐬𝐢 team or is just a victim of envy and propaganda. So why is this article or why is this statement of interest to Zimbabweans? First of all, I've spoken that Morgan Tsvangirai expelled Tendai Biti and described him as an opportunist being manipulated by Robert Mugabe. If you still remember when Tendai Biti was expelled from MDC Tsvangirai, and Tendai aneruoko rwake pakubvarura original MDC. Exactly, this is why this statement is of interest to Zimbabweans, because of his previous shenanigans, because of his previous history in the destruction of the MDC. So this is why this statement is of interest to the people of Zimbabwe. It's interesting to him as well. If this statement came from Tendai Biti himself, it's a shot on his foot. He was not supposed to have issued this statement. I would have loved Tendai Biti to go live even on his Twitter, to go live even on Facebook, or even by a journalist being interviewed, so people are left without doubts that this is Biti speaking, because Tendai has got a tainted history starting from the MDC. This is why you see probably in 2015 he was expelled by President Richard Morgan Tsvangirai. And do you know what President Tsvangirai described Tendai as? He just said, no, this guy is just an opportunist being manipulated by ZANU-PF. Biti, during that time, he was the Secretary General who fell out of favor after an election that was held in July 2023, an election which was rigged by ZANU-PF. So Biti was Secretary General when this election was held, and that election was rigged. Tsvangirai said Biti and the other rebels had been recalled from parliament. So Biti, Tsvangirai recalled Biti and other rebel MPs from parliament. Biti was the Secretary General. I want you to understand this. That if you really understand, but Mr. Yuda, his spokesperson is the one who issued out that statement on his behalf. What's your take on that? This is why Mkomatafuma, I deny that this statement came from Biti. Because even if you read this statement, it was not written by a lawyer. If it is true that it came from Tendai Biti, then it's a shot on his foot. He destroyed his political career. You cannot issue such a statement when things are like this. I would prefer to see Tendai Biti being interviewed by a renowned journalist, not reading such frivolous or hogwash as a statement issued by a lawyer. The English itself, could know this is not from Biti. And it's too late to apologize. Biti sold out and people will not trust him. Let's hear. Let me make this presentation, then I'll come back to the comments. So I am saying, right, why this statement becomes an interest to the people of Zimbabwe. It is because of the history that Tendai Biti has in the MDC. First of all, in 2015, he was expelled by President Richard Morgan Tsvangirai, who described him as an opportunist who was being manipulated by Robert Mugabe. Tendai Biti was the Secretary General for the MDCT, and he fell out of favor after the July 2013 elections. Tsvangirai said, this is when Tsvangirai said Biti and other rebel members of parliament have been expelled, and they were expelled from parliament. Right? The man doesn't believe. Tsvangirai went on to say, Tendai Biti does not believe in anything except his power. Anything that has got his power, this is what he believes. He doesn't believe in anything. This is how President Tsvangirai described him. There was a meeting that these guys held where they came up with an idea to fire Richard Morgan Tsvangirai, and Tsvangirai said that meeting was illegal, held unconstitutional, it was an illegitimate meeting, and it was a bogus meeting. Yuda is still in said denial. Soon reality will sink. I'm not sure, my charm. I am not in denial. I am carrying out an analysis of this statement. The problem is, you understand my position at the end. I want you to listen to what I'm saying. I am not in any denial. Even if you ask President Nelson Chamisa, does this statement emanate from Biti? It does not emanate from Biti. The type of English used here does not come out from Biti. You all know Tendai Biti when he's talking, when he's writing. This is not a solicitor's English. it could have been written by someone on behalf of Tendai, but not Tendai himself. Right. So this statement, I dismiss it. It does not even have Tendai BT signature. You can sit and write it for yourself and then say Tendai BT, then you post it on social media. If it's BT, why didn't he post on his... Exactly. Tendai BT has got a Twitter account. He could have tweeted this on his Twitter account. So he could have simply tweeted this. This is why I am saying it's not Tendai BT who wrote this. This is hogwash. If it's Tendai BT who actually did this, then it's a shot on his foot. Because why this statement suddenly became of interest to Zimbabweans is the history of BT in the MDC. If you look at BT, he was expelled by Mdara Changirai, and Mdara Changirai described him as an opportunist being manipulated by ZANU-PF, who went on to hold an illegal, unconstitutional, illegitimate, and bogus meeting that expelled Richard Morgan Changirai. BT's function said the MDC National Council had voted to suspend Mr. Changirai as the party president and has been transformed, because Changirai has transformed the party into a fiefdom of the leader. So this is the reason why Tendai BT and his other members of parliament thought Mdara Changirai must be suspended. And this split, 2015, it never benefited the opposition, but it strengthened Mugabe and ZANU-PF. The Tendai BT split in 2015, it never strengthened the opposition, but it gave power to Mugabe and the ZANU-PF party. That is the first reason why I think this statement should be of interest to you. Look at, have this perspective about Tendai's history in the MDC until he was expelled by Mdara Changirai in 2015. So after that, we go on to BT. He was recalled. Tendai was also recalled. So this is the 2015 one, where he was recalled by Mudenda, Nemamwe members of parliament, after being expelled Mdara Changirai. After being recalled, these guys, they went on to form another political party they called MDC Renewal. This is a second point where Zimbabweans would be interested in this statement. That Tendai is saying, let me read what he's saying. Before Tendai is saying, I am a Democrat who believes in constitutionalism, the rule of law, transparency, openness, and collective leadership. This is what he stated in this statement, if it's him who wrote. But if we go, according to what he stated here about constitutionalism, we know the MDCT had its own constitution. Its president was elected at the Congress by the constitution. If it's true that Tendai is constitutionalism, a constitutionalist, I don't think he was gonna sit down with the rebels and form MDC Renewal and expel Mdara Changirai, who was constitutionally elected. This is another point of contention. This is why I am saying if Tendai is the one who wrote this statement, then he shot himself on the foot. Because if we look about constitutionalism, we expected him not to form this MDC Renewal and split the part to the benefit of ZANU-PF. Because that time, ZANU-PF was almost gone, but it was revived. Its hopes were revived by another split. This split went, saw a lot of MDC people going away, the likes of Wanamati Benga, Wanani, Wanwagawanda, they moved away from the MDC. So when we go for an election after such a split, those people won't vote for president. They won't vote for your president. They won't vote for an opposition president because they split from him, citing that Changirai had transformed the party into a fiefdom. He had transformed himself into a fiefdom leader, and this is why he had to be suspended from the party. And there is an audio that came from BT which said Changirai had put his face on there and his surname as MDC Changirai and so forth. And does CC have constitutional? I am just curious. No. We are not talking about CC constitution. We are analyzing a statement here. Goma Raymond Lamek. Let's go through this. We are analyzing a statement. And you still believe BT, let him form his own part. Quite a lot of people are saying that. So, if they formed MDC renewal, they blamed him, Dara Changirai, for the defeat, and they demanded his resignation. It was this second split of MDC. BT led this formation of renewal. He blamed him, Dara Changirai, for the 2013 July elections loss. But he was the Secretary General of the party. This is something that people should point at him as well. Because my results in my elections are, both Secretary General is an administrator of the party. Being an administrator of the party, he is the center of any elections or any results that the president can achieve. Ndosaka murikona ndakataura Douglas Monzora ndikati he's probably the most sellout of our generation. As a Secretary General, you cannot blame the president for the loss, because it's you at the end who is the administrator of the party. But Mr. Sanford BD today on Twitter Space clearly said that statement was coming from his brother. Exactly, Mr. Tafuma. I am happy to say that Stanford BD said this statement is coming from his brother. What I'm saying is, if it is an official statement from BT, BT should have signed it. You can write it and put it on social media. If you go on BT's Twitter, that statement is not there. I think I am being technical here. If that statement came from BT, it was supposed to be on his Twitter account, and it was supposed to have been signed by him. Because anyone can write and throw and put it on social media. And Stanford can write it and say it's BT. You understand what I'm saying? Because if you read the language, the English itself, it does not point to Tendai. I am not saying as BT, but I am looking at President Chamisa this statement. He will tell you, no, this is not the English and Tendai. Let's be honest there. Stanford and gonna wanyora ega over atia bakuna Tendai. Because here an access kuna Tendai, and gonna kutaura na Tendai. Tendai omtaura zvarufunga. Iye over anyora oti yabva kuna Tendai. Saka another point and kwanise kurambira kuti statement yabva kuna Tendai ndiye kuti Tendai wacho has been quiet. He's not talking, he's not doing anything. And gonna go statement yakabva kwaari because he's not talking, he's not doing anything. But chirungu chiri apa hachishabiti. Nofunga you are with me on that point. We are still going at Satapedza my points, Edu. Saka, after they split, as Mr. Yuda, it's good you are talking about this issue. Why these two gentlemen between Welshman are quiet. Though another issue, as Professor Welshman knows, vangashaikirwa na mai wavo here, vanga vari kurufu, and unoziva kuti kufa kwaamai, I don't expect him kuti angataura, but maybe achazotaura, achazokomenda. But semunhu anga ari parufu, ngatimbosiyana na Professor Welshman. Let's analyze this statement yabva kuna Tendai BT. So I'm saying if BT is the one who produced this statement, he has shot himself on the foot. I think you are with me there. I think we are agreeing there. Because this statement is not good for the character of BT. This statement, obvious, destroy BT's dignity, destroy BT's participation in any future political activities of the opposition. Though this is my opinion. I'm not sure about your opinion, guys. I am saying after this second split, this second split came after the first split on BT's predecessor. MDC Secretary General 𝐒𝐿, who broke away to launch his own function in 2005. So the third point why this statement is of interest to the people of Zimbabwe is that BT himself was recalled by his PDP party. This People's Democratic Party, which was launched, I'm not sure when was this party launched, but it is the party, it was launched in 2015, I think. It is, and the party joined MDC Alliance. Tendai said, I dissolved that party. But Matibenga Lucia continued to be president of that party. And that party had participated in the 2013 election under a different coalition, of which it was not supposed to have recalled Tendai Biti. But it went on to recall Biti through a guy who called himself Benjamin Rukanda. He recalled Tendai Biti, Settlement Chikwinja, Kukaka Pulu, who is now, who has been thrown in as MP from Kulumana, I think, Nashavang. This guy is from PDP. He was recalled by Benjamin Rukanda, and the Statliwe Muhlanga Nare 𝐁𝐧𝐚𝐥𝐲𝐬𝐢. These were recalled ne PDP part, which means they ceased to be members of PDP. The reason was clear. They stated that they joined a post-MDC Alliance party. That means we had a part, MDC Alliance, that went into election. When we went to Congress, they said it was a different party formed, and it had joined that party, ceased to be MDC, the previous MDC Alliance. This is why they were recalled from parliament. And those who want the power, they want to abuse us because love can do the rest. Why Makam not recalled? We are going to look into that. So, Secretary Generals, if you look at the history, kuba opposition kuba to triple C, through MDC, through triple C, you can tell that my Secretary Generals were the only people who had authority to make those correspondence of recalling. When Mdara Tsvangirai fired BT was recalled by Douglas Monzora. And Douglas Monzora went on to recall members of parliament in 2019. After that, we have got now this idiot, but he's just an idiot who calls himself Shavang, who is recalling members of parliament again. Because aona akango read that shit. Kuti okay, my correspondence are ese ainyorwa nema Secretary General. So let me claim to be Secretary General. If I write this correspondence, that means the Speaker of Parliament anogona usugachira. Unfortunately, the difference between Shabang and the previous Secretary Generals is those were elected members. We had some congresses which elected Douglas Monzora, a congress which elected 𝐒𝐿, but this one is not an elected member. He came from Norway, imposed himself as Secretary General, and he started writing to the parliament. Don't blame Shabang. Don't blame Tendai Biti. Don't blame President Chamisa. Let's blame the parliament. This is why I am saying it was wrong in the first place. When these MPs approached the courts, they should have pinned down the Speaker of Parliament for allowing any 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢 to do a correspondence for a political party. These people, Parliament should have signatories, or should have the name of a Secretary General couldn't hear correspondence yes in the Parliament. And so there was an error when these guys went to court. I don't know who advised them to remove the Speaker of Parliament, who took action on an illegal order. So the third part is why this statement is of interest to the people of Zimbabwe. It's because this guy thinks he's a Secretary General and he has got authority to make such correspondence to the Parliament. You understand? So the procedure, Because this guy is saying these members of parliament, they ceased to be members of 𝐶𝐶. So the onus is on him to go and say to the court, how did these members cease to be members of the court, the part? As if you go on the reason why BT Chikwinja, Kukala Pulu, Muhlanga na Tsunga were recalled by PDP. A reason was clear that they had joined a post-MDCA part, because that part went to Congress and elected in 2019 and elected a new executive. So a different executive from the executive that participated in the election. So these guys, they were recalled on that pretext. So an announcement was made by 𝐀𝐧𝐚𝐥𝐲𝐬𝐬 that BT has taken over. This becomes another point of interest why people should read these statements. And so an announcement was made by 𝐀𝐧𝐚𝐥𝐲𝐬𝐬 that BT has taken over as president of the party alongside 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢. This is Shabang who stated this. And Tendai BT should have shot Shabang down there and there. But he did not do that. He did not do that. Shabang issued a statement, this statement on the 10th of October, that Chamisa has been expelled from the party, and BT and 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢 became leaders of the 𝐶𝐶. If this statement came from BT, he has shot himself on the foot. He has destroyed his political career. Because this was said by Shabang on the 10th of October 2023. When Shabang said this, he went on to appoint BT as president and appointed 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢 as president of the party. So allegations Shabang laid against our president. He laid allegations against our president of embezzlement of party funds. He laid allegations of personification of the party. He said our president collaborated with the ZANU-PF and former ZANU-PF members. He spoke about imposition of candidates, which resulted in some of the constituencies and the wards being lost. I don't think if Shabang revisit his points, he accused our president of that if he reflect on this, he can tell himself that he's being dishonest. A good example, when he recalled members of parliament, he failed to field a candidate in Mavuku. So he created a position where he wanted Mavuku to be taken by ZANU-PF. So it's not true that our president colluded with the ZANU-PF. It's him, Shabang, who colluded with the ZANU-PF, recalling members of parliament from Mavuku and failed to field a candidate there. He wanted that constituency to go to ZANU-PF. So this is why I'm saying these frivolous allegations put against our president, and BT being named president and 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢 being named president of the party, this does not exonerate BT from working with Shabang. So if this statement is true, then it becomes an interest to the people of Zimbabwe. It will become a third interest for the people of Zimbabwe. BT later on distanced himself. He wrote it on his Twitter account. He distanced himself, but with the Shabang, they broke away. If you look at Tendai BT and Shabang, they broke away from MDCT. Shabang was probably a member of MDCT, and they broke away from MDCT and they formed the PDP. They've got a history of division, a history of destroying whatever has been built by the people of Zimbabwe. You understand? Because on the 11th of September 2015, they launched this PDP, and this Shabang was a member of the PDP. He came from MDC and he became member of the PDP. And that PDP is the party that was dissolved, according to BT, before he came and joined the MDC alliance in 2017 and went into an election as a united front. So, this is why this statement is of interest to the people of Zimbabwe. We are going stage by stage analyzing this statement. So let's go on question number 2. What is the aim and the purpose of this statement? What is the aim and the purpose of this statement? I have stated in my introduction that if you read the statement, you must skim and read the statement to get general idea of what is this statement all about. So I'm asking you, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think was the aim of this statement? No doubt, I've got no doubts here that Tendai himself is a great intellectual. This is why I said the type of English written on this statement is not it's not from a great intellectual. Tendai Biti is a bona fide lawyer. People, they believe, Tendai Biti, they believe Parliament will never be the same without Tendai Biti. When they look at Tendai Biti, they say he's a great economist. If you visit whatever Biti did in Parliament, this is what I'm saying, what was the aim of this statement, considering what Biti said, what Biti did in Parliament. He chaired, in the history of our country, Tendai Biti chaired a parliamentary portfolio committee on finance and public accounts. Apana singazvizive izvozvo. Johnny Panonaka 𝐀𝐧𝐚𝐥𝐲𝐬𝐢, he quaked and shit in his pants. He sweated because of Tendai after being cornered by Biti about the corruption and transparency in the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. And those are credentials that Tendai Biti should have maintained. If it's true that he wrote this statement, he has destroyed that credential. He destroyed that credential. Because that credential got lost the moment Shabang said with immediate effect, Professor 𝐁𝐢 and Biti are acting presidents until part convenes an extraordinary Congress on the dates to be advised, and all officers, all official communication will be coming from the Secretary General's office. This is where all Tendai Biti's credential got lost. So, in this statement, I expected Tendai Biti to shut down Shabang. But he did not do it in the statement. He just denied that he doesn't work with Shabang in the statement. So, considering that Tendai is a lawyer, a renowned lawyer, and with that shallow statement, I doubt very well whether it came from him. Because if it's true that this statement came from Biti, that's the end of Tendai Biti in opposition politics. I don't hesitate to state that. That Tendai, if this statement came from Tendai Biti, he has destroyed himself. He has totally destroyed himself. Even those people who are following Tendai Biti, they are beginning to head away from him. That statement does not make any good of Tendai Biti, but it damaged his credentials. Tendai, as I've mentioned here, that he's a great intellectual, that is a bona fide lawyer. I don't expect him to write such rubbish and say it's a statement that came from Tendai Biti. He has destroyed himself. He has destroyed himself. And I went on to talk about Tendai Biti being the chair of a parliamentary portfolio that sent shockwaves in the ZANU-PF corruption machinery. So instead of Tendai Biti to have cleared air in this statement, he is nailing himself. He is nailing himself. Because Tendai Biti is a constitutionalist. Being a constitutionalist, he must understand why people are elected in parliament. When he saw that Shabang is engaging in an unconstitutional manner, he should have jumped in as a bona fide lawyer, and he should have shot Shabang straight from the beginning. And he has failed to do that. That means he has shot himself on the foot. But he failed to clear air with this statement. As a constitutionalist with lots of respect for the rule of law, he should have understood the impact of Shabang, announcing that he automatically becomes president of a political party without even being elected, without that constitution. Because if you continue to read Tendai Biti's statement, there is where he mentioned that he will not work with the ZANU-PF to weaken the movement. He stated that. So, we understand he doesn't work with the ZANU-PF. Fine. But he went on to say he can work with anyone who wants to strengthen the movement. That means Shabang, if you read what I've stated about Shabang, Shabang is laying allegations to our president of embezzlement of party funds, a personalization of the party, collaboration with the ZANU-PF, imposition of candidates, and loss of other constituencies which we should have won. These are allegations laid against our president by Shabang. So Tendai said, if this person, according to this statement by Biti, if he wrote this statement, the perception is that if this person is removed, then he can strengthen the movement. That is what I understand by this statement. This is probably why they want to get rid of a person who embezzled party funds. They want to get rid of a person who is personalizing the part. They want to get rid of a person who is collaborating with the ZANU-PF, according to them. So if I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, that they recalled Mavuku member of parliament, but failed to field a candidate. In other words, they wanted that constituents to go to ZANU-PF. This is what I am saying. Shabang is conniving with the ZANU-PF, and it is not good for BT to just say he doesn't know Shabang. When Shabang himself appointed him to say he's the president, and there is an audio. No, this is too early, guys. You should have stopped. And that audio, we don't know what he was referring to. And more. So this is why people are saying, okay, Mr. BT. So what is needed is to strengthen the movement. A constitution. Yeah, he's saying he believes in constitutionalism. So he's saying the CCC needs a constitution. He's saying CCC needs functional structures. This is why this Shawangwe to appoint him to become president and promise a Congress. That is a plan to weaken our president. So you cannot weaken the party president and strengthen the movement. That cannot do. That cannot happen. These two gentlemen, BT and Washman, they've got a history, a divisive history that has always weakened the party position. That has always weakened the presidents of the party. And it's just a recurring of those previous shockwaves. Hanzi menikaroa airoveka mochete inozotsiya mazai yozodzoka yorova futi. Iya mheni yakudzoka kuzorova futi. Varungu vakuru vanoti shiri nemuririro wayo haingazoregizve. Kuti hanzi uzoti njiva iwewe chema sasadhimba azviite. shiri nemuriro wayo haingazorege kudaro. Because mukada kutarisa kuti Tendai, when he failed to shut down this Shabang, when he appointed Tendai as a president, you can visit a lot of issues that I've said previously. Panevano, I have my live on Facebook, and I was asking them, what is happening in CCC? It's like a political party of a political part of vanhu vasina zvavanoziva, vanhu vasina kana magweta. Ndikada kutarirai kuti if you go to Africa, go to Southern Africa, to SADC, the only opposition political party in SADC with probably 1,000 lawyers supporting it. Most of these lawyers are its officials. Tina na matutu wa kuzanu vaya, taita na Obed Gutu wa kuzanu vaya, vakanga vari ma lawyers. Tina biti na 𝐒𝐿 vese ma lawyers. Tikada kuverenga ma lawyers, vana Arnold, vanonzana 𝐒𝐭𝐿 Blaze 𝐒𝐭𝐿 uya. Vese ma lawyers aya. Ukada kuona kuti CCC tibva kuMDC kusvika taenda ku CCC, we are the only political party in Zimbabwe with a very big number of lawyers. ZANU-PF haina ma lawyers atinawo isusu. If you look at Tendai Biti himself as a renowned lawyer, he won a groundbreaking case recently. And this case is documented in the law reports. If you read about the Concord victory on child marriages in 2016, the report is circulated even in the international law journals and is discussed in universities and parliaments. That it won is discussed all over the world. Not to move how the setup of CCC MDC alliance was. Such type of a lawyer with that experience cannot sit and watch whilst a political party like CCC is disintegrating and someone who does not understand law is destroying the party. And such type of a lawyer with that a groundbreaking case he won should simply sit and watch. Asingauye kuzobatsira party. No, trust. If you look at Tendai, Tendai Biti is a great intellectual and a bona fide lawyer. Being a bona fide lawyer, he recently won a groundbreaking case documented in law reports. A good example is the Concord victory on child marriages in 2016. That Concord victory circulated in the international law journals and is discussed in universities and parliaments all over the world. And with such type of example, in 2023, BT could have simply shut down or stopped 𝐒𝐿 madness. Because apana judge anota akapindurwa nelawyer akadai so anomira kuti haiwa ota zvimutemo osakana chijudgment chakaora. No. We should have utilized or tapped BT's experience in constitutional court to stop 𝐒𝐿. And BT should have simply jumped and stopped 𝐒𝐿 destroying a part where he belongs, rather than issuing a stupid statement that I've read here. It's a very stupid statement that I've read here. With his experience, BT, with his experience as a great intellectual, as a bona fide lawyer, should have just jumped in and stopped 𝐒𝐿 from destroying CCC. Ndakamboti imwe nyaya. Ndakamboti riri mukoti nini kuchipinge uku. Unoziva kuti kana uri gwetayo, if you are a lawyer, ukaona ugere mukoti memwe, mune a client iri kutongwa, iwe unenge usine nenyaya iri kutongwa ipapo. But uri munhu wangokera agara mukoti. Ukaona kuti pakuitwa injustice panapo, you can stand up and raise an objection to the magistrate. That is allowed by law. You cannot sit there and watch injustice happening in a court of law. You can stand up and object to say, no, there is an objection. So, Mr. Yuda, do you reckon on what I have mentioned above? So, meaning to say, I gonna kumisa 𝐀𝐧𝐚𝐥𝐲𝐬𝐢 Yuda yet ZANU-PF iriyo ikupa majaji. Yes, he could have stopped it. I'm looking at his experience as a bona fide lawyer, with his great intellectual, winning such crucial cases in the Concord. But he should simply have jumped in to stop Sengezo from doing whatever he's doing. We all know that he's not the Secretary General of the party. And he cannot sit and watch someone destroying our party. The party where he belongs. The party where he is a vice president. He's vice president of CCC. You cannot sit and watch whilst the party is disintegrating. Because if I read again that section, he's a Democrat who believes in constitutionalism, the rule of law, transparent openness, and collective leadership. So if we look at the rule of law itself, Shavang is not engaging in any rule of law. If there is collective leadership, we know who's the president of the party. My decisions, some candidates, they were not done by Chamisa alone. They were done by a party. So any decision that should be done through the consultation of the president, who is Chamisa. If someone is seized to be member of parliament, Chamisa should consent to Shavanga and the Secretary General Nora correspondence in the parliament could ninga parliament. But without that, where is Shawang getting all these powers? And why a bona fide lawyer did not stop Shawang from destroying the party? But remember, judgment date. We all know that. That is what I'm saying. With a bona fide lawyer, with a great intellectual in the party, looking at that judgment, with 23 October, 2 November, Tendai should have grabbed that opportunity and go to court and say, this is fraud. This is fraud. But instead of doing that for the part, for the benefit of the part, he is busy writing, defending himself. And this is not the good defense at all. He has shot himself on the leg. We are not pointing at Tendai alone. The other professor involved here is a professor of law, 𝐁𝐢𝐿. He teaches by university. I know this some term. Professor 𝐁𝐿 jumped in a case of Bulawayo 12 when ZANU-PF did not want those people to contest in that election. And he went on to win that those guys must contest. But these guys are just seated, folding their hands, watching Chabangu destroying the CCC, whilst they can quickly jump in and stop him. So failure to stop him, this is why people are associating them with them. So this is the gap that this statement is identified. It's a gap in the statement. It's a gap in the statement that Tendai should, if he is a true author of this article, he should have seen that gap. I am a bona fide lawyer. I am a great intellectual. I've won crucial cases in Concord. How can I just simply sit and watch whilst the party is disintegrating? Someone acting illegally as a Secretary General. We've got two professors who are lawyers. We've got two great lawyers in the form of 𝐁𝐿, in the form of Tendai Biti, who should have gone to Concord and stopped Shawang from disintegrating the party. But nothing has been done. And these guys are busy defending themselves. It's because perhaps they were named as presidents of the party and they hope to be presidents of CCC, which will never happen. andimona. Saka ndo zvatiri kutaura guys. We are analyzing the statement yanyorwa ichinzi yabva kuna Biti. Kana murimi, kana varivo vaBiti vanyora, he has destroyed his political career. I think kana asiri anyora, he should come open and disown this statement. If he doesn't disown it, then he has destroyed this statement. He has destroyed his political career. He will never rise in politics again. Remember, he was expelled from MDC for trying to topple Tsvangirai. He was expelled from PDP. And now he lost Harare East. And so, who is the signatory of the bank account? I'm not sure who is the signatory, but I understand that Shavang bank account in his name, I think, where Aganyora Parliament would vice Marimomo, which is another fraud case. Natini Mosha Shavang Arukpara Moshanas enjoying the protection of ZANU-PF. But unfortunately, Nyamosha Iwore, that is a fraud. And Zavafanana Douglas Monzor, Maritza Vakatora, it did not belong to them. It's another case of fraud. Yokuzoti panera mangwana rizanu yaenda irikuwa protected. Vanongozvamburwa vachienda kumajeri. It's very unfortunate. Kuti mhosva inongozovhurwa chero rimwe gore. Maybe tenge tazvidhara tachembera, he can still be dragged to court for fraud. Saka ndabvunza ini ndikati, what are the main claims in this statement? Let's ask Honorable Biti, who has authored this statement, that what were your claims in that statement? Because we have seen that you labeled yourself a true Democrat and you believe in the accountability and transparency as you stated in there. And you denounced the recalls in that statement. If we will continue, you said you hoped to be a member of parliament in that statement. Those were the claims in that statement. So one wonders, when you are a Democrat, you understand that for Democrats to prevail, you need to go into a by-election. And if you lose that by-election, that does not mean that you should destroy the party. Because you are a Democrat, you understand democracy. You lose some, you win some. And considering, ndambotaura panapa, ndakataura nezuro, ndikati, we don't like life members of parliament. Remember why we formed the MDC. We were attacking Mugabe for overstaying in power. Mugabe was in parliament, was the president or was prime minister and then became president from 1980 to 2000. That was 20 years. But that was 20 years. Mugabe was president when we formed the MDC. Mugabe was 20 years in power. He was 30 years in power, I think. From 1980 to 1990, 10 years. 1990 to 2000, 20 years. Saka Mugabe was 20 years old as a president. Right? Now we've got members of parliament who have been in parliament for over 20 years. Because some people were in parliament from 2000. Tamu 2023. They are in parliament for 23 years. When we attacked Mugabe, we said Mugabe had overstayed as president. And some people are fighting to overstay as members of parliament. I don't think it and I should have been bitter. I don't think BT should have been bitter for losing this to Makam or to any other member of parliament. He has done his part in parliament. He has been there for 20 years in parliament. He has been in parliament for over 20 years. And he has done a lot in parliament. He should not have gone bonkers to say, look, why did I lose? I wanted to be member of parliament. For how many years do you want to be member of parliament? As I'm presenting, I will look into the roles of a member of parliament and reflect on the roles of a member of parliament. What did you do as a member of parliament? I'll come back to that point. But what I'm saying is one wonders why it took so long as vice president of a party, expected him to come out guns blazing and condemn enemies of the revolution. Tendai Biti failed to come out guns blazing against Shabang and only come up with a shallow statement to deny any connections with the Shabang. We know Tendai is vicious. Tendai should have come out guns blazing against Shabang. He failed to do that. So his claims become null and void. He's a Democrat. Looking undemocratic principles or undemocratic methods being used to destroy CCC, whilst he is the vice president of CCC. He should have come out guns blazing against this guy. Because when we say Democrats, we mean who elected Shabang to be Secretary General. For him to say he's a Democrat, he's the Secretary General of the party, someone should have elected him, or people should have elected him into that position. And there is no smoke without fire. So, Tendai Biti failure to come out guns blazing against Shabang might make connections. It might make him look like he's Team Shabang, because he failed on what he was supposed to have done. He was the man named with Professor 𝐁𝐬𝐬 as president of CCC until a congress is held. But he failed to come out gun blazing to condemn Shabang. So this is why people are saying it is Team Shabang. Because this statement is too shallow to have come from BT. Very shallow. So he allowed the allegation to destabilize the party. And he allowed Shabang to divide the party. Shabang to destabilize the party. And he failed to come gun blazing against that Shabang, who is calling himself a Secretary General. But he should have even taken Shabang to court for using his name. Could Arundin represent wake and represent wake pagodi. He failed to take action against Shabang. Because there is nowhere Shabang can wake up and dream with Tendai Biti, you are the president, and you keep quiet about it. And you don't take action to stop him. So this is where the question comes in. Is Tendai Biti a Shabang Biti? Is Tendai Biti Shabang team or Team Shabang? Is Tendai Biti Team Shabang? Or is just propaganda? Can we say this is envy propaganda? Looking at the shallow statement he deposed today, looking at what Shabang said about Tendai Biti, naming him as president, and he kept quiet. He failed to come guns blazing against Shabang, and the party is disintegrated. Andy Morgan. Let's leave Job Scholar out of this at the moment. Let him come out of prison to explain himself. Let's not tarnish his name. Let's not bring him in this. Because there is nowhere he's named as the official of CCC by Shabang. So you see, as a result of Shabang's shenanigans, naming 𝐵T and Professor 𝐁𝐢 as the president of the party. The people, the CCC people's love of these two gentlemen has drifted away. The respect that these people had in the MDC, it has drifted away. The CCC faithfuls no longer trust them. It's because of the history. This is why I had to give you the history first. To say because of what happened previously and what is happening now, it is very difficult to disassociate Tendai 𝐵T from Shavang. It is very difficult for anyone to defend 𝐵T saying 𝐵T is not Team Shavang. It's very difficult. It's difficult now for anyone to say that this is just propaganda and envy and propaganda. It's difficult to defend 𝐵T at this moment. Because he has released this shallow statement. If it's written by 𝐵T, then it's difficult for anyone to defend 𝐵T. He shot himself on the leg. And he killed his political career. But there are quite a number of things that 𝐵T should have done. Quite a number of things that Tendai should have done. Remember, we've said he's a great intellectual. We've said he's a bona fide lawyer. We expected him to act when these things happen. This is why I am saying the faith that we had, the love that we had about 𝐵T, it has drifted away. Muchoni really say, the faith and love the CCC people showed to 𝐵T and Welshman 𝐁𝐢 has now drifted away. Because now, Tendai should have positioned himself in a manner that condemns Shavang. If you read the statement, it's too shallow. It's too shallow. It's not defending himself, but it's nailing himself as Team Shavang. And Murgon. So, the last statement, if you read this statement, the last phrase that Tendai 𝐵T destroyed himself is that he has retreated. Tendai 𝐵T did not tender his resignation to CCC that he does not want to be the vice president anymore of that part. And you remember when we went into by-elections last year, he was one of the 4 presidents of the party, being led by President Chamisa, 𝐁𝐻𝐾𝐦 being the second president, 𝐁𝐻𝐾𝐦 being the president, him being the vice president, 𝐭𝐈 being the vice president. But he stated on this statement that he has retreated. So he has put himself in a very difficult position now to defend himself to the CCC faithfuls. Why would the vice president of a party retreat? I need to read where he said that, so that you understand, ladies and gentlemen. That he said, Tendai said, I have a daily job at my law practice, and that's where I have retreated. That means he has abandoned being the president or vice president of CCC. So he has retreated to his law firm, to his law practice. And he said he's going to fight for Zimbabweans in that sphere of the influence. So he is no longer coming to the sphere of being a vice president of a party. He has retreated to his law firm where he is going to fight for Zimbabweans there, and has got nothing to do with the CCC. This is why I am saying, if it's 𝐵T who wrote this, he shot himself on the foot. How is he going to come back and say he's president of the CCC or vice president of the CCC, whilst he retreated to his law firm? Asiyana nezvepolitics. akuenda kunozvishandira. That's what he said in this statement. I wonder if this statement was written by BT himself. If you read this statement again, BT sounds bitter when he said he hoped to be a member of parliament. And he went on to explain that he has got reservations. He went on to explain. I'll read what he wrote on this statement, which also destroy his political career. He said, I had hoped to be a member of parliament. So you failed to be a member of parliament and you now retreated to your law firm. You've got nothing to do with the politics. So what you only wanted is just being member of parliament, that's all. You don't care about the party. So he went on to say, I have my reservations about the process that prevented this happening. I have my challenges and reservations about our identity, structural, strategic, and procedural politics. This is an error that it did. If he is the author of this statement, then he has shot himself. Because he's saying he has got reservations about the process that prevented this happening. He participated in this process. But he's got reservations. He never said it on that day. He went there, akanomira kanzi vanoda biti endai kuseruka. Vanoda makama endai uko. Akatoona vanhu vachiinda, vachimutiza. Hanzi biti is bitter. Vanhu vakamutiza. Akatarisa, kwete kuti hanzi haana kuvhoterwa asina kutarisa. Akatarisa. So I don't know where the reservations are coming from this process. He's talking about identity. He's never explained anything about the identity. He's talking about structural and strategic and procedural polity. We are talking a vice president of a political party. That's what he's saying now. After participating in that process. This is why Nataura Ndigadi, when Tendai, let me look for that statement again. When Changirai described Tendai Biti, Changirai described Tendai Biti as an opportunist being manipulated by ZANU-PF. And Changirai said Tendai Biti only believes in himself and his power. Because if he had won when he went with Makam in that procedure, he was not gonna complain. But he's complaining because he believes he should have won, not Makam. Winner. He was not going to talk about it anymore. To him, it was going to be a fair process. And in Manzo is going to be a fair process. Saga, I don't understand. Kutikana, things don't go your way. You don't believe in anything that happened because that thing did not go your way. You believe, you agreed to participate in that thing and did not go your way. So you've got reservations. So this is why people now are saying everything that is happening, destruction of the part, disintegration of the part, according to this statement written by BT, there are elements of bitterness in that statement. Because he failed to be a member of parliament, he wanted to be a member of parliament. It's Turuguramba, my life members of parliament. Some people have been in parliament for too long, guys. These people of Zimbabwe, it's like there is no any other capable members of parliament who can take parliament further. It's like Zimbabwe, they formed a political party for certain individuals who must always be members of parliament for life until they die. They want to die in politics. They want to die in parliament. that should never happen in Zimbabwe. In a democratic part, in a democratic society, you should not be a life parliamentarian. Some people must come in. 5 years, 2 terms, 1 term, uenda. Go yawo mumo simudzira, uenda. Because political party, I say muni. I see party, you know, I have to be. When I fail to be, then let me destroy everything. And it more. So, what does this show, ladies and gentlemen? This shows, with this bitterness, it shows that I'm not saying BT is doing it, but that bitterness can show that anything could happen. But the guys says they cannot admit working with the Shabang. But Shabang wakaona a gap. Good. I think do vakatomutaura pretend as a SG. Gap up. Then they utilize that gaps for Shabang to destroy the part. Because you cannot say because you failed to be a member of parliament, that part must die. If you read in that statement, why is he bringing 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢? Trying to defend 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢. Tikadaubata nhoroondo ya𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢 and a share of destruction of opposition politics in Zimbabwe. So atingatikade kubata nhoroondo yake. But there was no point of bringing 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢 in this if he was writing about himself. Because you cannot go on to defend 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢. The majority are saying you and 𝐁𝐢𝐿 are involved. And you go on to defend. Munakazoita say, ngazvimbomira. Ndopari kubvunzwa nevanhu kuti Chabangu chachi chiri kunzi chimwana chaED Mnangagwa. Mai vacho aive secretary waED. Hapana asingazivi kuti ED unopfura bere. Ndopapatorera tatenda mugoma mapfura bere. Tatenda mugoma mauraya bere. Tatenda mugoma mapfura bere. Tatenda mugoma mauraya bere. Hapana asingazivi kuti Mnangagwa unopfura bere. Hapana asingazvizivi. Kuti mai vaShabangu vari kunzi vanga vari secretary 1 waMnangagwa. Mbuya vakapfurwa bere. Ndopapatinoimba naYuda. Tatenda mugoma mauraya bere. Tatenda mugoma mapfura bere. And all. So to what extent is BT's statement convincing? Does he come clear that he is not a Shabangu team? If you read the statement, remember, ndakudzokera kupoint yanaichitaura pakutanga. What I want you guys is first to skim read the statement to get a general idea of what it is all about. Let's discuss the statement. Is there to impart clarity and understanding for you guys to understand this statement? Read this article on your own. Kana uchida kutora manotes, otora manotes. And check my main points of this article. Uone kuti zvakureva does BT on this statement exonerated himself or nailed himself to be Team Shabang. And Shabang said to be working in 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢's office. Sakadabvunza, to what extent is BT's statement convincing? Are you Zimbabweans convinced that this statement? I'm not saying it did not come from BT. Let's assume, as it has got his name, could this statement came from Tendai BT. So far with what I have stated on this platform, to what extent is BT's statement convincing? Is BT not Shabangu team? Machoma bwanja bambo Yuda inenda choma to bambo Edi bwanji kumeneko Wanjangono. Andimon. Is this statement convincing, ladies and gentlemen? Did it come on the limelight? Or that this statement, it just brought undue attention? It can have brought just an undue attention. Or it can be just an appreciation from BT's camp to say, look, we are doing this. Is it convincing? Because when we talk of a leader here, we want someone who has got followers. We don't want someone who want to create a position first and look for followers. Toda someone wataka pusha kuti iwewe bichi our leader. As we don't care about this that statement, evidence already out. Bitina Shawang are together. Where is that evidence, my cha? No Sandru Kuda. Because we are analyzing this statement. At the end, I want to see if you are convinced or if this statement is convincing that it is not working with the Shawang. Because we can raise accusations and accusations. But those accusations, without proper analysis of this statement, they don't work. Anzi varuma bita ananya zobuda pacheni. Saka, the statement is not convincing, and it. Because if that statement is not convincing, we should look at our party, CCC. Are we operating as a formal political party, or we are operating informally? Because Shawang, when he looked at, this is what my assessment, my own assessment, my own opinion, that Shawang took advantage of lack of organizational structure to say who has got to write, who has to do the communication, who has to do that, this and that. Remember, takanga tiri kuma by-elections before this Shawang thing. And ainyora correspondence to the parliament in Dian. We had over 60 members of parliament wataka winner kuma by-elections. Aisa correspondence iko Ndian. And why is that person suddenly changed and become Shawang correspondence? Why is he coming in and saying he's the only one allowed to correspond with the parliament? I am correspond before pataka sama my members of parliament pa my by-elections who was doing the correspondence. And why is it Shawang suddenly come in to fill that gap? And because there must be someone designated who signed for our members of parliament during those by-elections, who had communication with the parliament during those by-elections. Who is that someone? Saka, is it that we failed to operate as a formal organization with a clear structure of who does what? This is probably have been capitalized by this Shawang. Because, no, it is a sellout. He was quite busy plotting to run down CCC. Right. Is it Mkoma Rogers? Is it because we were operating as an informal organization? Is it that way? It's like we were people who worked together to attain a specific objective and abandoned the objective. Because why I'm saying so is we had elections before where our members of parliament were in parliament after we won a lot of by-elections in 2022. So you mean when we did that in 2022, we just formed the CCC in 2022, and worked together with certain people for a specific objective and abandoned the part. All of a sudden, we go into another election and a new crop of people crops in and say, I'm the Secretary General. So do we mean when we went into by-elections in 22, we did that relatively temporarily or what? Are we saying the people who signed there, they organized around a common activity of winning and then we abandoned that? The common interest of winning the by-elections, then abandon it until the next election. Pakati pesa apa, apana kamboita correspondence between members of parliament and the speaker. Because it looks as if we just did things on a friendly basis, using friendship. We brought together common people or friends to say, "Yo, Risha Maria Ninge, another MP, Risha Maria Ninge, another MP." Then it was just for that specific moment or for that specific objective and won that election and done. We just waited for the next election. So, our political party, did we operate as formal party or as an informal organization? Because this is where Shabang and his handlers sat down, strategized, and saw a gap in it, and utilized that gap. So evidence is there. Anzinamkoma Matonuzi, evidence it was that leaked phone call. Because that leaked phone call, definitely you cannot doubt that this is 𝐁𝐲𝐬𝐬's voice. You can't doubt that. So, after we did that parliamentary, after Taita my by-elections in 2022, I never expected that Zimbabwe mungaitike my recalls again, considering what we had gone through in MDC Alliance. And obvious, these recalls are for personal benefit. They are not for the organization benefit. Someone is utilizing his power. Someone has seen the gap between a formal and an informal organization. And they have seen that gap in politics. And utilizing that gap to benefit himself. I heard that Shabang wrote to Speaker of Parliament that the disbursement of political party funds must be done to him. Just imagine. But why? I say, how are we going to win 𝐁𝐻𝐬𝐬? Problem is, we look at live members of parliament without challenging them or removing them. At the end, they engage in this illegitimate political behavior. Because kana munagarisa anenge ndiye muridzi wepo. Kana kumubvisa muparliament anenge asichade. Unenge maudi mukamubvisa anenge akuparadza zvamakavaka. Saka atete sorry vengi. Because overstaying chaiga in politics, it increases my conflicts amongst my individuals who are. Imagine 2005 we had a split, but we've got audacity to continue appointing Professor 𝐒𝐭𝐚𝐢 as vice president after causing that split in 2005. We have got audacity to continue appointing 𝐁𝐻𝐬𝐬 as vice president after causing that split in 2015. In 2014, 14 or 15. Saka, nopari kubvunzwa question navengi, how are we going to win 𝐁𝐻𝐬𝐬? It's because of you and me, who glorify failures in politics. Because if someone caused a split and divided the opposition, why should we continue to keep that person in his fears of power? So they overstay and they think they have got influence. They own you, they own me, they own the opposition political space. That does not stop the conflicts amongst those individuals. And one, because their behavior or their political behavior is based on their overstay in opposition circles, and they claim ownership of it. Kundere vamwe vanhu vanga uklema kuti pasina inini vanakupe vaitaura kuti Bulawayo haivote. Some people claimed ownership of the Ndebele people, that if Kupe does not contest, then we are not going to vote for Triple C. And some they've created or they've positioned themselves as the gurus of a region. And that is your problem, Vengi. That is your problem, my Wadzanai. That is your problem, Shepherd Yuda. You have allowed that to happen. We have allowed overstayers to continue manipulating the opposition politics. They have got ownership now of you. They own you, they own me. So to me, if we go into an election and expect recalls, that is time and energy wasted. Imagine resources are selling out is in their DNA. Yes, they will never make any meaningful contribution to a political party. I don't know why we should keep them in the structures or keep them as competent politicians. We are wasting our time. We are wasting our energy to continue giving them political power, those people. And nyaya yekuti tavaregerera ngavadzoke inoitwa ndo nyaya yauraya opposition in Zimbabwe. Thanks Mkoma Edmo. Ndo nyaya yauraya opposition in Zimbabwe. Yekuti munhu apanduka makamutarisa mutamuregerera. Munhu adivhaidha vote makamutarisa mutamuregerera. Toenda ku-election kuno mwanhu nevanhu vangu tovaregerera. We are wasting time. Takuchembera. Manzwa here mustatement yabita achitaura kuti mira da kuverengera statement yacho. Da kuverengera statement yacho andotaura kuti we are wasting time with these people. I want to read this statement. I want to read this statement. I want to read this statement, this paragraph. Hansi, I do not speak for Professor 𝐁𝐢𝐿, an honest and decent comrade who buried his mother, dear mother, on Friday, but as someone who has been in the struggle for as long as I have. These people are admitting that they've been in this struggle for a long time. One who has endured ZANU-PF jails and physical attacks. If I ask you, Zimbabweans today, have you ever seen 𝐁𝐢𝐿 being arrested and and being attacked? He was only arrested by Zana Aribeni Menashe, and he was given bail Changirai Saram Jerry. We have never heard him even a day that he was tortured. And these people confess that they have been in politics for too long. And they've caused all sorts of divisions. With those divisions that they've caused, we continue to cast them as relevant political elements. You and me, we have got a problem. We are wasting time. Vari kuti vakapedza their adulthood vari in politics without achieving anything. So We are wasting time. You are wasting time. I am wasting time. And we are wasting energy. You and me are wasting energy. Because we have hopped from one organization to another, one political party to another, buying ideologies with the people who are not bent, with the people who are not ready for change. And this has delayed the removal of ZANU-PF. There is no way we can remove ZANU-PF with these elements. With these people, who divide one. Mangwana udzoka mount matamiregerera. O former political party yake, yoenda inoflafa, yoflanga, udzoka upinda futi, mumpa futi, hukuru. Onda futi okwadza hukuru yo. Moramba muchingodzora munhu. Muchingodzora tamuregerera. We are wasting time. We are wasting energy. Ndopaunonzwa Mnangagwa achiti ukarota ZANU-PF ichatonga nyika inoi bika mukaubike doro. Because anenge achiziva kuti has got willing elements and the people of Zimbabwe are blinkered on those elements. You can say no to them. This is why you see nchiti I big up one weko Harare East. Apana imbozifungira kuti ndaibiti can lose Harare East. And yesterday when I did a presentation, I stated exactly why BT lost Harare East. Kana pane mumwe anofunga kuti zvandakataura is not correct, come and challenge me. Ndokuunganidzirai vanhu vari kuHarare East nhasi vese vakuudzei. Saka taane problem yekuti we are blinkered. We continue with the divisive elements in the party, the destructive elements in the politics. And in more, Panama positive effects of power, Panama negative effects of power. When these people are selfish like this, when they stay too much in this political environment, when they think they own it, they become bullies. What is happening now in Triple C? They are bullying President Chamisa. They are bullying Triple C supporters. They are bullying members of parliament. They are recalling them at will. That's bullying. They are manipulating our members of parliament to say, I'll recall you. Some of our female MPs are being sexually abused by the same people. They are using power we have given them. They went out, they formed their political parties and fluffed. Come back to you, you casted them in positions of power. This is why you see they are abusing us. They are bullying us. They are manipulating us. We are wasting time and energy with these people. Because when we gave them leadership, we expected them to continue with the leadership responsibilities. But when you sit down and do like Zvaitwa na Baba Brahma, Monzora was a leader. 𝐀𝐧𝐚𝐥𝐲𝐬 was a leader. We expected leadership responsibilities from them. But instead, they were holding meetings overnight of how are we going to topple Nelson Chamisa? How are we going to remove Nelson Chamisa? How are we going to vote at MDC Alliance? Destroying all the hopes of people. This is why I am saying Monzora and 𝐀𝐧𝐚𝐥𝐲𝐬 will never be relevant in politics. Because after that, these people are not clever. Very stupid people. Vanokuungaridzai votanga kutaura kuti taifamba inini na 𝐀𝐴𝐧𝐚𝐥𝐲𝐬 usiku tichigadzira kuti tingabvisa sei mukomana uyu. Destroying the people's hopes. And when they return or when they come back again, you are going to give them influential position. Kuti Baba Brahma ndo chairman, Monzora ndo secretary general. By so doing, guys, you are not going anywhere. You are wasting time. You are wasting energy. Because there are videos. 𝐂𝐚𝐲𝐬𝐢 naMonzora vachitaura kuti vaishanda vari usiku nesikati kuti obvisa sei 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢. Imuri kushanda usiku nesikati kuti mobvisa sei ZANU. Someone is working overnight kuti abvise 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢. Imuri kushanda kuti mubvise ZANU. So you have got wrong leadership. And you should not cast those people back in leadership. Because when we put you as a leader, we expect leadership responsibilities. We don't expect you to go and destroy the organization that people pin hopes on. That means you are failing on your leadership responsibilities, and because you are fighting another leader. Whilst the Zimbabweans are fighting ZANU-PF, leaders are fighting another leader. So when we are choosing leaders, let's be very careful. I was so impressed by President 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢. I've never destroyed anything. I'm a builder. I've been building whilst people were destroying. We saw it Monzora destroying. We are seeing it 𝐒𝐿 and BT destroying. Saga, when you are a leader, we expect you to inspire us. If you can't inspire us, if you lack creativity, then you are not a leader that we want. You cannot force yourself to appoint in as president beside 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢. No. That's, to me, it's a no. It's a no. Because when you look at what is politics, to me, it's a no. Because we need President 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢 to exercise power and the social network within CCC to achieve change at all issues. Change that benefit the country. We don't want to change that benefit individuals. We want to change that benefit the country. We have got in President 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢, we've got someone we trust. We've got someone we believe in. We don't want anyone to serve his personal interests. We don't want you to serve personal interests. We want you to serve the people's interests regarding their organization known as CCC. Saka muri kuona tichitaura kuti kana takuenda ku CCC, atichada kuatacha a blame on someone. Let's not target our president. Let's not allow certain individuals to target our president. If you read this statement, this shallow statement written by BT, it's targeting someone. It's targeting someone. The way it is written, it's written clearly in a way of targeting someone, in a way of blaming someone, which we don't need as the people of Zimbabwe. Saka, if you read this statement, it is evidence on its own. If you read this statement, it's evidence on its own. But is this statement convincing? It's evidence on its own. This is why I'm saying I doubt kana iri statement yanyorwa nabiti. Because ukaiverenga kana ari ndiye anyora, andonyatsokuona this statement is not convincing. It is evidence on its own that they are working somewhere, somehow to remove someone because they believe in constitutionalism, in the rule of law, in whatever they've stated. So automatically this statement become evidence on its own. It is evidence on its own that there are some people doing something somewhere, somehow. There are some people doing something somewhere, somehow. If it is Tendai Biti who wrote this statement, he has shot himself on the foot. Because Dari Bita Nyora, aifana kuziva chinhu one chandakataura nezuro. Kuti an MP's job is to represent his constituents. If you are elected representative of a constituency, a second line job where you work. Can you really do your work properly as a member of parliament? If you are elected representative, or let me say, if your elected representatives have a second line of work, can they really be doing their primary one to the best of their ability? Because if you are a member of parliament, you are elected in parliament to represent a constituency. Saka mubvunzo wangu uri kuti, kana uchishanda une rimwe basa raunoita uri MP, unogona here kuzorepresent a constituency yako to the best of your ability. Andimona? Because when I came yesterday, ndakataura ndikati, one reason why Harare East thought Tendai Biti must step aside and allow Makam to be MP. And Mdara, you, the analysts, Zago, Zagapega, Uruguseri, Mdara, thumbs up. You make me understand things, Wanda. Okay, Raj. And then more than Yanduta. Ndati nini. If your member, your elected representative or a member of parliament have a second line of work, can they really be doing their primary one to the best of their ability? And the cheat. Yesterday I spoke about why Tendai Biti, people of Harare East removed Tendai Biti. Why people of Harare East said they don't want Biti to be their member of parliament. I stated it yesterday. Why? I stated it why yesterday. And more. Because kana ane basa rimurano ita is anyora panapa. Ndosaka mandatara kuti kana ari Bita anyora panapa. This ukundokunonzi kuzvipfura wega. Kuzviburisa pachena kuzviyanika. Anyora panapa kati fellow Zimbabweans. And I have a daily job at my law practice. And that's where I've retreated to fight for Zimbabweans in that sphere of influence. Additionally, I have progressive international engagements that require my full attention. This paragraph, Kanayanyorwana Biti, he sealed his fate. This is exactly the reason why Harare East said no to Tendai Biti. Because no one wants to be represented by an MP who is exhausted. An MP who cannot be able to fulfill his roles. Arutaura kuti ane law firm anda kuenda kubasa ku company yake ye law anda kuenda kubasa. Anodiwa ku parliament to represent his constituents. Arikutaura iye panapa kuti iye ane progressive international engagements that require his full attention. And anoda kuita a member of parliament food. How is he going to balance everything? All this, how is he going to balance them? Nosaka, ndataura kuti ndikakunganzira vanhu veHarare East panapa. Ask them, could ask Tendai Biti, or tell us what he did for his constituents. These things were the issues that were raised by Harare East youth. They said, our member of parliament, Ana Taimunesu, is a very busy person. Very busy person. So we decided to relieve him his duties as a member of parliament. But he's a very busy person. So this is why now he confirmed it himself. What the Harare East youth were saying, that Mr. Biti has got a law firm, he goes to his law firm. From his law firm, he goes to parliament. From parliament, he bought the plane to go and watch Arsenal playing. he has got no time for his constituents. In addition, he stated that he has got a progressive international engagement that require his full attention. This is exactly the reasons why Harare East guy said, no, he's a very busy man. Let's relieve him of his duties. And Mama Kim, I'll add you, Mama Kim. Let me finish what I'm presenting, then I'll add you. Adimona. So, no one wants to be represented by a very tired or exhausted member of parliament. All these duties he has confessed on this statement makes him very tired. If you ask the people there what he has done for his constituents, he has got no time for that constituents. This is why they decided that they need another member of parliament. Because they expected someone who has considerable time, who spend time doing his primary duties as a member of parliament in the constituents. So if someone is telling you that he needs to turn up for his work for the benefit of his company, and he also need to be in parliament, so the commitments in parliament, he also needs to go for international engagements and so forth. So what time does he have for his constituents? So people were saying, Harare East were saying, Tendai Biti failed to split time between working in the parliament itself and working in the constituents. The constituent that elected him. And he should have split his time as well to work for the party where he was a vice president. So as a member of parliament, they expected him to work in the constituents, holding regular surgeries with the people of his constituents to help them. He needed to understand what are the impact, what are the effects, what is happening within his constituents. He was supposed to hold regular surgeries in that constituents for him to understand what are the people's needs. So he failed to split his time. As a solicitor, he wants to be in to prepare cases. He wants to go to court. After that, he wants to go and debate in parliament. He was holding chairmanship of a very effective parliamentary portfolio. After that, he wants to hold surgeries in the constituents, and from there, he also needs to go and watch Arsenal playing football in England. Zvese zvazviri mumaziso eHarare East constituents youth, to the extent that they decided to offload the burden of being a member of parliament and hand it over to someone achange anavo when they need them. When the people need that MP. If your elected representatives have a second line of work, can they really be doing that primary one to the best of their ability? Someone working as a member of parliament, someone working as a lawyer at the same time, wants to be in court, wants to be in parliament, wants to be to the constituents. So it was a burden to the honorable member of Harare East, to the honorable BT. This is why youth decided to say, no, what have you done for your constituents? Because your job is to represent the constituents. And he still needs more years in parliament. For what? So, what people just say, Anzimbo, Eda, Mama Kim, I will add here, because what happens when I'm trying to add someone, the volume goes. Can I fail kupinda? That's it. We have to cut the presentation. So just wait for me to analyze this statement. Can I analyze a statement? Mama Kim, put your points down. When I add you successfully, then you can take me down to what I've stated. Because the problem is the system the volume will go, and we have to to cut the presentation. So I don't want to cut it short. I want to finish first. Then participants will come in and say whatever they want to say. Saka maona ndati hakuna constituency noda MP akaneta nekushanda, who is not able to fulfill my roles as MP. So ukamubvunza MP kuti, okay, tell us what you did for this constituency. Andiri muri kunzwa nyaya dzatiri kutaura. Saka ndiri kutaura kuti now, analyzing this statement, Honorable BT, kana varivo vanyora, he has shot himself on the foot. He should have considered everything that I've stated here. Kuzviyanika kuti I cannot fulfill my duties zvakanaka because, hey, I'm a very busy man, Which are the reasons why Harare is said no to him? Because they said he's a very busy man. So if you look at positive points which can be made in response to this statement, and the negative points which can be made from these statements, if you look at them, it's like, and give us a chance to hear the presentation and aid and what. All right. So the public, or the people of Harare East, or the people of Harare East, they elect a member of parliament to represent their interests and concerns in parliament. So if you are a member of parliament in Awu, anenga achita akabva ku firm, opinda ku parliament, okwira ndege unoona bhora ku England, odzoka oenda ku firm, opinda mukoti, oenda ku parliament. Saka, you have got no time to represent the interest of your constituents. Because you are not holding messages uchinzwa kuti vanhu vari kudei. Ndopo vanozokubvunza vanhu kuti uruda imwe term, kuti uite 25 years in parliament or 30 years in parliament. What have you done for the past 25 years? Because we know parliament is not a joke, guys. When you go there, your role is to propose new laws as long as raising issues that matter to your constituents. Could you propose my new laws? You should always be in touch with your constituents, which is what one parliament. There is no point with the MP are very effective in parliament. Asina char with the constituency yake. Asinga sangano na constituency yake. He is not a president. He is a person who represents a constituency. Should be working with the constituents. My questions are uno minister about the current issues which affect your constituents. Must get those questions from your people. A very good example, we've got an outbreak of cholera right now. A member of parliament from Mutare Central, Arfana Vunza Minister of Health, what are you doing with the cholera in my constituents? Warukupera kufa. And it demands. Sagama roles, you are elected to represent your parliament, your constituents in parliament. You should attend my debates. You should vote on new laws in parliament. You should attend my committees. You should look into issues in detail, particularly those issues affecting your constituents in parliament. You should attend my functions. Unaona kunzi kuleta rufu MP avauye. Member, youth member district inonovigwa MP vasipo. Chairman we district anonovigwa MP vasipo. Secretary of what district anofa uvigwa MP vasipo. Kana MP vakoniwa kuuya kontadza kutumira kana 2 kg yehufu kuti nemunobikira vanhu vari parufu. Kana kutenga kambudzi kuti uraye kambudzi aka vanhu vari parufu vao kana vaone kudya nyama vachiviga member yangu. MP avawanike kuzvinhu zviri crucial mu constituents. Saka ndiri kutaura kuti pane zvinongotaurwa nevanhu vasinganyatsonzwisisa. Pane zvinotaurwa nevanhu vasinganyatsonzwisisa. Kuti on the balance of everything that I've stated here, pane vanhu vanotaura zvinhu zvavasina kunzwisisa. Saka maona ndati regai ndiuye ne-this analysis iri insightful. Kuti vanhu muve ne-decision yenyu. Kuti pane zvinhu ndataura zvese izvi. Is Tendai Biti Team 𝐓𝐞𝐧𝐝 or not? Is he working with 𝐓𝐞𝐧𝐝? Is he working with anyone? Or is 𝐓𝐞𝐧𝐝 working with Biti na 𝐁𝐢𝐭𝐢 to destroy the part? Because vana 𝐓𝐞𝐧𝐝, they've been divisive for a long time. Pakafoma PDP, he was there. Vachibva ku-MDC. Vana voshe vachinofoma yawo MDC. Vachingoenda vachidzonganyidza. Unonzi kubvongodza muto vamwe vachida kuseva. The masses of Zimbabwe, they are waiting for their leadership. They want to see their leadership capabilities. How they're going to bring change in the country and remove ZANU-PF. Instead, they are busy removing each other. They are busy fighting leadership instead of fighting ZANU-PF. This is why I said this presentation must be insightful. It must open your eyes. That do we have the rightful people in our political arena, leaders who are ready to solve our problems, who are ready to tackle the challenges that the people of Zimbabwe are facing, who are knowledgeable and critical in all issues of governing, to say, yes, we've got the correct crop that can bring change in the country. Because so far, for the past 23 years, we've seen failure after failure. The same people who made it fail, they're the same people who still need more years in parliament, who still need more years as vice presidents. So it's like they're abusing, they're bullying us to say, pasina inina hapana zvinoitwa. Takanzwa vachinzi maikupe kana vasipo kumatebhelerendi munodyiwa. Indakataura ngarege kana kuparticipate katadyiwa kumatebhelerendi. That's politics. Iyo nyaya yekunzwa tsitsi. Rega adzoke. Tamuregerera. Tazoita sei. President Chamisa imbomirai kuverenga chiri kupiko chinhu chacho. Ndinacho muno mumba. Chinhu ichi chinopa kuti uite tsitsi dzakawandisa idzi. Vachamisa vanogona kumedza poison nekuti varikuda nekuti Mwari ari kuvataura ndichakuprotecta mwana wangu. Vonyora vhesi remubhaibheri. Vonzwa tsitsi voti taregerera umamakupe marale osimudza kuti maikupe vauya. Marale osimudza tinawo vice president wabiti Professor 𝐒𝐭𝐚𝐢. Vobvapo vononyora kuti Mwari maita basa mandichengeta. Tikaramba takadaro, we will remain stagnant. Tinofa tisina kutonga. Tinofa tisina kutonga nyika. Zvekuti toda kutungamirira nyika zviya ipropaganda. Toda kutonga nyika. Bozi ukaitungamirira usingaitonge hapana chinofamba. Ndonzwa vanhu vachitaura kamwe kaphrase kekuti nyika itongwa ina mhosva yakapara, munenge musati maziva politics. Imbosudurukai propaganda titarisa nereality. We can only rule the country with the mandate of the people. So I was asking the people this afternoon, who is the author of this statement? Is the author of this statement trustworthy? Considering the arguments he forwarded in this statement, are they sound or common sense? Ndosaka mwana ndanchiramba kuti ndibita akanyora. Because the statement is too shallow. It's like an implicating statement. He's implicating himself, shooting himself on the foot. If you read it, you will find that there are similarities between what is happening now and what has happened before. I make sure Majid is opposition is and so I expected and which one? Mkomadani mamurikubi statement irunzi yakanyorwa nabiti ndio yananji. I will read the statement kanda kupedza. And because kana ari tenda yakanyora, I was expecting to read about solutions. I was expecting to read about recommendations on what we need to do with Shabangu. Not to be defensive like this. This is too shallow. As Bakushaya signature and Dopamapeds my sports. Apana signature, I've got my computer here. I can sit here and write my rubbish and say I'm Tendai Bit. Dokanda ba social media. Chino chaitwa na Yuda. Chinenge chine signature ya Yuda. Kana chino chaitwa na Yuda. Mnomuzwa richitaura udai muzati ndi Yuda arutaura. Kweda kuti munhu anongonyora chipepa chake. Because English yacho yanyorwa apa ndo yanda doubter. I doubted from this English. Kana mkomadani takafoira chirungu isusu ana Yuda tikachidzokerera uchinyora. Patakachidzokera tatachatsochiverenga manje. Izve kunzi given what and my family have given to the struggle. Given what I and my family have given to the struggle. This is too shallow. It's not proper English. Isho English yanyorwa apa. Pachirungu unoti alright, pachirungu gatiti given what my family and I given what I and my family. Tendai bita hambo nyori chirungu chakapusa udaro. This is too shallow. Saka problem ya ita it is too quiet. He's not coming to defend himself. Chipepa icha achina signature yake chakonyorwa nzi tendai biti. Achina kana stamp. Achina kana chichoratidza kuti it's an official document. Ndasikora ndiri pa Twitter account yendo yake. Ndichida kuona kuti chipepa ichiripo here. Ana uchiona ichi. Statement ichi ana kuchiona ichi. Saka shogona kwachanyorwa umwe nemunin'ina wake kana kuti nani. Because nyaya irikutaurwa panapa yandigumbura inyaya 1 yekuti it saddens me that I have to state publicly that I will. This is shallow English, not proper English. And I don't expect this for kuti chirungu chanyorwa na a lawyer. Ichi chirungu chanyorwa na a lawyer. And I'm noverenga zvainyorwa na Magaisa. Monoverenga zvikunyorwa na Brighton Mtebuka. You can come up with an idea how a solicitor can write. And I will never be part of a project to weaken the democratic struggle in Zimbabwe. I have been imprisoned and tortured for the change we all seek. If you seek the change, like us all, it's also at it fambe tichitaura pavanhu tiri zvirema because of this struggle. Tine makuwata evanhu vatakafusira because of this struggle. But we don't boast about it. Zvinhu ndikatanga kutaura ndichifunga experience yangu chaiyo ndinochema kuti why ndakaiswa in all this thing. Hachisi chinhu chekuganza nacho chekuti tiri mavictims. Tine makuwa kumba tiri zvirema takagara panapa because of the struggle. Saka zviroti kana ndachirema ndine makuwa ndine hama dzandakafusira then destroy the people's project because andafela kuita MP. Because this guy hoped to be a member of parliament and that did not come the way he wanted. Saka ndati dai biti andifunga kuti ainyora kuti I had hoped to be a member of parliament. He has been in parliament for 23 years. And he had hoped to become a member of parliament kuti asvike 28 years or 30 years ari parliament. I don't think it's Tendai who wrote this. Because this is self-implicating. Pandazoti unozvibvunza kuti for 23 years uri parliament to imomo, what did you do for your constituents? Saka manda bvunza kuti who is the author of this statement? Is the author or the contents of the statement trustworthy? Are the arguments advanced in this statement sound and or common sense? So I've challenged this statement. Kuti kana ari tendai biti ma-journalists endai munomu interview. Vana muhlanga vari kupa vanobvunza vafana ndo vatiri kuda. Go and interview this guy. So my analysis is trying to foster an understanding of the aspects of this statement. This is why I've called careful consideration of the contents of this statement. I've highlighted issues in this statement which I believe destroyed Tendai Biti's political career. That is from my point of view. Those are my arguments after reading this statement. I expected Biti to try and suggest solutions to end whatever is happening now in CCC. Because there is a pattern here of Secretary Generals recalling people, Secretary Generals destroying the movement. It's probably why President Chamisa said we don't have that position of Secretary General in the CCC. Because someone thought, because Monzora did it, BT did it, Professor 𝐁𝐬𝐬 did it as Secretary General. So if I impose myself as Secretary General, I can still do that. It's a pattern. It's a pattern we should stop. It's poor to them, not the people in Philistine. And on. This is why when I started this presentation, I demanded your insightful perspective. I said to you guys, you must read, you must read the statement to get general idea of what it is all about. I said, let's discuss about this statement, guys. So someone, so that I can clarify to you and unit your understanding of this statement. So if now you can read this statement, if you read it now, you can come up with a clear idea what was the intention of this statement. Thanks, Nkomadan. So I want you, when you are reading this statement again, check the main points of this statement. Come up with those main points and think. So those are not the shida, guys. Is there evidence in this statement that say BT is working with the Shabang? Or the whole statement on its own? It's evidence that Tendai is involved. Because the way it is written, it is a self-implicating statement. It is someone shooting himself on the foot. Akachema why Bisoko Harare is, he stated the reasons here. Why Bisoko Harare is. The same reasons cited by Harare East people are the same reasons in this statement. Zekuti, I'm a lawyer, and Rebasarangu, and business, international chi, which is true. And the people said no. They don't want an exhausted MP to represent them. They wanted someone fresh and older. Messages. Who don't know MP Zagamira Zagat. Noda ukutaurirai. 3 years ago, there was a group formed in Harare East. Raga Edam, my members Agawanda. People were complaining. MP Varikupi. He was MP at large. Saganaita Orangan. Bitaga Biswa 3 years ago. I even texted and called him. He never picked my phone. He never answered my calls. A brief of what is happening in Harare East. My track. I'm Harare East constituents. All my stakeholders. Ataure now. Nagatombo Vice President Maikore, if she wants to be honest with you, could Honorable Bitwar Group. Maikore wakataura tikutomutsvaga hatisi kumuona. He's a very busy man. So vanhu havasi kuda munhu akadaro. And it's just a group of English words like all orphans don't have parents. It's known. Andini maona. Ndosaka maona ndanga ndichitaura, ladies and gentlemen, kuti author wetsambai kana statement yakanyorwa zvisizvo, iri kuroverera vabiti according to my own opinion and understanding. That this statement is evidence on its own that Tendai could be involved in all these shenanigans. And ameno kamuri imimi vari kuona kuti apa chiri kutaurwa apa takutaura kuti this statement iri kuratidza power and politics. Kuti inini I have been there, inini ndakazodai, ndiri chini, mhuri yangu zvakadai. That's power. That he's trying to show his muscle in politics and justifying why he must be a member of parliament always, not any other person. Ndakataura nezoni kuti akaita maerrors akawanda Tendai. A very big error. Yakaenda kutuka varungu achitaura kuti makamu mabvi hanzi vasina mabvi. Ndikuona vasina mabvi vakupinda muno murarara members of parliament. But chanotadza kuziva manje. That's because they were the information of Triple C, they feel entitlement to dismantle it. It's very unfortunate at 𝐀𝐧𝐚𝐥𝐲𝐬𝐢. That is not going to happen. Unfortunately, they've dismantled their political careers. Kuzvipwanyira political career. Vanhu vekuZimbabwe vakusvipa. Do you still remember Mzorewa? He was not a very bad leader. But angonzi mutengesi. Mzorewa zvaangoparira zvakadaro. Vanhu vakaita sana Douglas Monzora. Nanhasi vanhu vanomuti Mzorewa. Ukatarisa komi chaakunzi Mzorewa. And those people's political careers dzakatofa. It is the backbone of your party, like it or not. That is not it, Mkoma James Mtasa. Ndosaka muri kuona akadyiwa ku Harare East, vanhu vakamuramba. If he was backbone in that, haikwanisa kuruza that city Harare East here. Because ndosatiri kutaura kuti that entitlement yekuti I'm the backbone is the same entitlement yakapa Tendai aruze constituents. Mkoma James Mtasa ndakuverengerai panapa kuti Tendai akati I have got a job at my law practice and that's where I have retreated to fight for Zimbabweans in that sphere of my influence. Additionally, I have progressive international engagements that require my full attention. The reason why Vanhuku Harare East Wakati is an exhausted member of parliament, they don't want to be represented by an exhausted person who is ever busy. It does not have time with his constituents. So unfortunately, in Zimbabwe, if you are a member of parliament, you are not a member of parliament for the whole country. The whole country is not one constituency. You are a member of parliament for a target for one constituency. Out of 210 constituents, you have got your own constituents. You must address issues in your own constituents. Failure to do that, the next election, when they throw you away. Saka, hakuna chinhu chinonzi backbone of the part, hakuna. Hakuna. We've got 210 members of parliament. There is nothing like backbone. These people have completely failed. Completely failed. They have completely failed. And collective leadership, he said that in bold letters. So he was like, this is why, thanks Mkoma Dan for highlighting that. He is saying decisions, and the Mazajins biti mirai ndikuverengere pakapa chitaura kuti why uya chitaura ndapoenda biti na Welshman 𝐁𝐢 kuti vave ma members of parliament, vave ma presidents. Ari kutaura iye achiti kana hanzi Mkoma Dhani vati regai ndiverenge statement yacho. Ndoda kuti muverengewo ndichiverenga. Ataura kuti I am a Democrat who believes in constitutionalism, the rule of law, transparent openness and collective leadership. It means ari kuaccuse President Chamisa kuti havana collective leadership. Ma decisions acho vari kuita vega. Ndopazobuda uyo achitaura kuti akaembezela embezzlement of part funds, personalization of kana vachiti personalization of the part. Panapa pachinzi ipo, he believes in collective leadership, whilst he's being accused, Chamisa is being accused of personalization of the part. So those are that we must connect the dots. BT has implicated himself. Thanks Mudaraden for bringing that. He has implicated himself. Their handler Chamisa has personalized the part. And BT he believes in a collective leadership. So there is nowhere you can exonerate him. No matter how he might deny involvement, but this statement nailed it. It's like kuzuroverera ona, kuzikanga nemafuta ako. Boza wakomana ava vari empowered politics, ndo zvavari kuda chete. Ndo zvavari kuda. Because what they want is just authority and influence. Vakafoma ma political parties avo, vakafela kunota stamp authority there. They failed to stamp their authority. They failed to garner support. Naiti ndikatasa tenda achifamba ku PDP. Ndainzwa tsitsi. Aifamba nana Murimoga. Aita akasvika hapana kana vanhu vaimuungana, vanhu vaituka. Mutengesi uyo mutengesi. But vatsvangirai vakati akuregerera mwana wangu dzoka. Ndoba unoona kuti he has got no power. He has got no charisma. He cannot influence the people to rally behind him. Ndosaka muchiona takuti tikatarisa masimba kuna President Chamisa. He has provided direction of CCC. He has made strong decisions that allow CCC to function. Chamisa has maintained regular contact with voters, with the people of Zimbabwe. Amwano akambobvunza kanzi naimi Horshman Ncuva ari kupi pamarallies ese ari kuitwa hatumuoni. Kuti ndaibita ari kupi pamarallies ese ari kuita hatumuoni. But vaChamisa vaifamba usiku nesikati maintaining regular contact with the people of Zimbabwe. That gave him power to say to vanhu vakati ndiye leader watoda. So no one can now come and say, I want to assist or I want to be the president. When you needed to be president, he was booed in Mtare. Saka, they must not be coercive to the people who were legitimately voted by people, by the public to be members of parliament. So if someone becomes coercive, president, so there are a lot of gaps in the Tendai BT statement that raise eyebrows. He missed the opportunity to clear himself. He missed that opportunity to counter Shavang. This statement is no good for BT. It doesn't do good for him. His failure to consider certain relevant aspects of what is happening now clearly indicate that he could be involved in all these shenanigans. But they were crucial, potential or critical elements that he needed to address in the statement. Because there are aspects of that statement that I expected could tend some counter arguments. which were not laid down in the statement. So if we try to consider a full width of the statement and the depth and breadth of the contents, analyzing them, Tendai has shot himself on the foot. And as much as Tendai bit is wrong, collective leadership is necessary. Yeah, but that collective leadership now, with the Shabang saying the party has been personalized, Shabang is using an emblem with the President Nelson Chamsa's face. Tendai Biti, when he left Morgan Tsvangirai, he cried of personalization of the party. And the same ideas are now there. Andimon. Chimwe chinozoitika ndechekuzoona kuti ungaita collective leadership here kana kuti collective decision making nevanhu vari kutoona kuti aya mazano aya mazano zvinonetsa. So scrutinizing the statement, considering the breadth and the depth of what has been deposed in that statement, you can clearly fail to exonerate Biti in Shabang's shenanigans. So the impact, the statement has got an impact on his political career. It is there to destroy Biti. Kana asiri anyora, kana anyorerwa nemwana, mningina, kana anjadzi. It's very unfortunate kuti makuwadza career ya Tendai Biti. Very, very unfortunate. Very, very, very unfortunate. Kuti mnenge makuwadza career ya Honorable Tendai Biti. Kuti azopasimuka ipapa adzoke, kuti azopinda muparliament, amende anenge aenda kupi. Handizoti chichinenge chaitika. I don't know. For Biti to come back in politics and become a member of parliament again, I don't know what will happen. And what is collective leadership and combat democratic leadership? I'm not sure. Saka pana tete vangu vachida kuedwa. Now I've finished my presentation. Ndapedza presentation yangu. Pana someone anga achida kuedwa. This is the time that I can aid you. Nakandibvunza kune vanhu. So far, with everything that I've stated here, is there any evidence that Biti is involved? Can you guys say yes or no? Ndombotry mukoma tapfuma chiso. Mukwana yaramba. Put your phone on portrait. Because I can add 2-3 people here. Put your phone on portrait. Not portrait, on landscape, sorry. But I'm trying to add the volume might go down, ladies and gentlemen. Or else, if he failed to come back, when the volume goes, then we need to cut the presentation. But I think I've done, I've made all the points that I had prepared for you. So it's indicating that adding. And then Mama, try to add another one. Hanzi Mama Chigo, vabva vaenda, vanhu vanoramwa naye. Editor Pfuma. Mama Kim. No answer. Yaramba Eda. Remotry Mama Kim. Zirkuramba Eda, no problem. I don't know why. Mama Kim, that is side request. Isai request Mama Kim tuone wanaru request hapana. Can I request tuone? Can I request? Itai request tuone. Volume yangu, let's hope is still there, because I'm failing to add people here. Mkoma tapfuma. Phone yenyu ngaite so. Isaite so. Mukata portrait haipinde. Asi mukata landscape inopinda. Unable to add guests. Yaramba. It's very unfortunate, guys. Yaramba. Saka regai ndingoita call it quits, because it cannot add guests. So before I call it quits, I'm going to quickly skim or read the statement. When I read the statement, we have a rough idea of everything that we've stated here. The statement is vague. It is saying Zimbabwe is at crossroads. The weight of stolen election, unprecedented corruption, and looting of public assets sits heavy on shoulders of Zimbabweans who want and deserve better. So, this is where I was saying this statement was not written by Honorable Tendai Biti, because this type of English is too shallow for a solicitor, for a lawyer, because it's vague and meaningless. Ukaverenga title yacho iri kuti Zimbabwe at crossroads. That's the title of the statement. It does not tell us that the statement is made by Honorable Biti denying involvement with the Shabang, which is, I suppose, the main objective of the statement. But it is, the title is suggesting something different from the contents of the statement. Because the title says Zimbabwe at crossroads. That is the title. What is at crossroads? It's not the country. It's our political party CCC, not the country. Because this is all. This is supposed to be a denial of BT's involvement with the Shabang, which is not. The title does not suggest that. If it was Tendai who wrote this as a solicitor, he knows what the title should be like. Because if you read at the title Zimbabwe at a crossroads, we expect discussion about how Zimbabwe is at crossroads. But it went on to say the weight of a stolen election and unprecedented corruption. Weight of stolen election, comma, unprecedented corruption. There was supposed to be a comma there. And the looting of public assets sits heavy. I think it was supposed to be heavily on the shoulders of Zimbabweans who want and deserve better. Who want and deserve better. What? That English is too shallow. It cannot have emanated from BT. Because if you say the weight of a stolen election, unprecedented corruption, and the looting of public assets sits heavily on the shoulders of Zimbabweans who want and deserve better. It's vague. It's vague. He went on to say the environment in the world right now. He's talking about the environment in the world. The wars in Ukraine and the Middle East have pushed Zimbabwe to the bottom of the world's attention calendar. So he's saying whatever is happening in Zimbabwe, no one is noticing. This has allowed the vampire state here to carry out brazen election fraud. I'm not sure here that the vampire being referred here is a state or a political party or Mnangagwa. Because he is just saying a vampire state. It's vague here again. Not satisfied, the regime is now engaged in a malicious push to weaken our struggle. This is when I said BT should, as a renowned lawyer, remember what I said about Tendai. Let me look at the paper where I spoke about Tendai as an intellectual and as a renowned lawyer, a solicitor. He cannot just sit and watch whilst Triple C is decimated. You cannot just simply sit and watch whilst Triple C is decimated. He should have jumped. He's the vice president of Triple C. Unless where he stated that he retreated to his law firm, he left about politics. He should have jumped to stop this gentleman doing whatever he's doing. So he's claiming that not satisfied, the regime is now engaged in a malicious push to weaken our struggle. He should have jumped in to stop the weakening of the struggle. The progressive movement, through the illegal recall and elected public representatives, what did he do? I've stated some of the court cases, Tendai one, that is probably one of the best renowned lawyers worldwide who should have fought this. Even if he took this to court and lose, that was not gonna remove any of his credentials in terms of the law. He's a constitutional lawyer, and he should know that when he's saying these recalls here, these recalls are unconstitutional, he should have challenged them. He should have challenged them. And he lamented what he hears in the corridors and what he's reading in the corridors. A daily stream of abusive, malicious, and defamatory claims that the professor, he should... guys, this is not from a lawyer. Let me stop reading this. But sometimes, because as far as I know, that I'm going to retrieve my documents from Home Office. I've got some English Tendai wrote. I'll read most of the documents when they come so that you really understand. But if it's Tendai Bit who wrote this statement, unfortunately, he's destroyed his political career. Regarding it, good night. Nkomateri, Mashkanda Pets, good night.